For you to sound off. For you to speak your mind. This show is for the faithful.
Touchdown! Touchdown!
Dub Nation.
Bang! Steph Curry again!
And the seam heads that bleed orange and black.
Good man!
This is Sportsphone KNBR. Sponsored by Industrial Metal Supply on the Sports Leader. Check the live stream on YouTube at KNBR 1045. And your host, FP Santangelo.
All right, everybody, FP up in the booth. We will be here for a short time tonight, but that doesn't mean we can't take calls from you guys. 808 KNBR is the number. Giants lose 9-8 to the St. Louis Cardinals after being up 8-3 in the third inning. And I was sitting there going, wow, what a resilient bunch. They were down 3-0. They picked themselves off the deck. Logan Webb locked it in. Patrick Bailey with one of the best base running plays we've seen all year, where he gets on the inside lane to third and causes basically a 5-run inning by getting in the way of Nolan Arenado's throw. And then when he threw out Scott, what inning was that when he threw out Scott? I have it in my notes here. He was a 1.72 pop time to second, and that throw was 84 miles an hour, and he threw out a guy that's only been caught stealing 3 times all year that has 33 bags. So I thought Patrick Bailey was the player of the game tonight easily for the Giants. Got a couple of hits. His average is up to 224, 2 for 4, drove in a run. But as we say all that, the Giants are eliminated from the postseason. So I want to get your thoughts on kind of how you're feeling right now. They have to win out to get to 500. They're 77-81. So they would have to win tomorrow and sweep the Rockies to get to 500 on the season. And, we talked about a lot last night. They went on that hot streak. They played really well. What generally happens when you go on hot streaks is there's a lull because you're on base, you're playing the game, you're scoring runs. Pitchers are pitching deep into games, and then there's usually a lull after a hot streak, right? Because you're spending a lot of energy, mental, physical, late in the season. I didn't think it would be like this, though. I mean, this is tough. That was a tough loss tonight. I'm not going to lie. Besides, there's just something weird about finally getting eliminated. And I know we've all been kind of talking about it. We've been feeling it, and there would have to have been 86 things to go right for them to get in the playoffs. And stranger things have happened, and they got us all excited again. And the finality of it tonight, there was something sad about that, to be honest. Not that, I was thinking they're gonna go in the playoffs, because generally when they're 2-9 in their last 11, and you've lost momentum late in the season, there's no time to turn it around. You got to go storming into the playoffs like the Cleveland Guardians are right now, like the Seattle Mariners are right now. Even the New York Mets have kind of turned things around a little bit with a big win against the Cubs tonight, 9-7. So, you're facing elimination, and we all kind of knew where it was going. I'm not going to sit here and BS you, and I'm the last one to give up. I said I will give up when they're officially eliminated. So tonight is that night. So your thoughts on the season, your thoughts on the game tonight, you want to air it out, I'm here to listen. 808 KNBR is a number. I have a lot of notes from tonight, but, once they lost, these notes kind of don't have the same pop they did before. And, you talk about Logan Webb's first inning tonight. He gave up 3 runs out of the chute, and then he just locked in after that. But the first inning is always a tough inning for pitchers. Did you know that more runs and more pitches are thrown in the first inning than any inning in baseball? And the reason for that is that pitchers don't know what they have yet. They don't know what's working well yet. You could throw a bullpen and it could be great. You could throw a bullpen and it could be terrible. You talk to pitchers. But when you get on that mound in front of 40,000 people or whatever it was tonight, you're still trying to feel and find what you have in a game. You're still trying to figure out if your stuff plays on that night. So that takes a second. On the other side of it, you have hitters at the top of the lineup. Usually the best hitters are at the top of the lineup. And they're super adrenalized, right? They're fired up for the game, but you're going to catch them at the peak of their Red Bulls and their coffee and their adrenaline for the game. And even the umpires in the first inning are still trying to figure out their strike zone. So everyone's trying to settle into a game. That's why it's so important that first inning. You always see the best pitchers in baseball, whether it's Clayton Kershaw, whether it's Max Scherzer, name anybody, you get them in the first because they're still trying to settle in. They're still trying to see if their stuff is their stuff. Because when you go from that bullpen to the mound, you still don't really know what you have on that given day based on hitters' swings, hitters' reactions, umpire strike zones. So Logan Webb gave up a quick 3 spot tonight, but then being the veteran and the gamer that he is, he locked in and he gave his team a chance to win. But it was 8-3. I'm sorry, in the 6th inning it was 8-3. It was 5-3 in the 3rd. So my bad on that. I'm looking at the line score right now. And so that's kind of what happened in the 1st inning. And then, the Patrick Bailey throw tonight. How do we feel about the ABS and how that's going to affect Patrick Bailey? So your thoughts on the season, your thoughts on the game tonight, your thoughts on Patrick Bailey, whatever you want to talk about. Danny Dunn is back at home base. He is taking your calls right now. And like I always say when I do this show, I'm not here for a marathon. I'm here to get after it. I want to hear your takes. I want to hear your calls. I'm here to talk to you guys. You have open phone lines to just express whatever you're feeling tonight. And as long as there's calls, I'll stay. But if there isn't calls, like I said last night, I'm on my scooter back to my apartment. Peter in Oakland, you're on KNBR. What's going on? Lead us off tonight, Peter.
Hey, how you doing tonight, man? I mean, I think I sort of already know. Gosh, what a disappointing season because of how they were playing down the stretch there. They really had a chance to make it for sure. The bats had really come alive. They were playing well on defense. Starting pitching was still a little bit shaky, but with Webb and Ray, I'm curious your thoughts on what they need to do for next season to really be contenders. And what pops into my mind is the bullpen, because in my mind right now, there's not a single guy in that bullpen who you aren't biting your nails when they come in. I mean, Bivens, when he was brought in, and I thought it was a questionable decision by Melvin. Bivens has been unreliable in those types of spots all year. And I was biting my nails, and sure enough, he gives up a home run to Arenado. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, what the Giants need to do to become contenders for next season.
Well, first of all, and thanks for asking, and what does my opinion matter? I'm just on the radio, and I always defer to guys that get here at 11 o'clock in the morning and leave at 1 in the morning that actually make these decisions. But, being invested all year and doing all the games and being here for the post-game shows and being at the ballpark every single day, I feel like, I've seen a lot with this team. I think you got a good core with Devers, Adames, and Chapman. With your pitching, I think you got to find a closer. I really do. I think you either got to develop one in the minor leagues or some kid that's a starter that throws 100, or you find some power arm and you sign him, because Ryan Walker has shown glimpses of being really good. And he's also shown that the game can speed up on him big time. And I think when he came into the game tonight, I was sitting with one of my very dear friends, Jerry Weinstein, former head baseball coach at Sacramento City College, and now he works for the Chicago Cubs, and he was here in case the Giants made the playoffs, scouting them. I told him that the game kind of moves fast for this guy at times, where you can kind of tell right away what's going to happen, whether he's going to have a good one or a bad one. And that's the mental side of the game. And I think we all look at results as fans and, did he get the job done? Did he not get the job done? And this isn't a try league, it's a do league. You have to get the job done in this league. We can get anybody to come up here and try, but this is the big leagues and you have to do. And if you're not getting the job done, then somebody else has to take your place to get the job done if you want to go to where you want to get to where you want to go to. But for me, there's nothing worse as a player, and I'm sure fans can relate to this, and there's nothing worse as a manager than when you don't know what you're getting from a player. And that goes for starting pitching, that goes for players in your lineup. And what separates major leaguers from minor leaguers is consistency. You can go down to San Jose and watch a kid make a play at shortstop and you're like, whoa, this guy. But then, the routine play, are you making the 7 hopper to you every single time? And I think when you look at the teams that are going to be playing in October, to me, the most important position is the closer. When it's you're the only game on TV and you're on the road and it's a 1-run save and you're facing 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Do I know what I'm getting from you? What am I getting from you on a daily basis? Is there been consistency? With Ryan Walker, if I'm being honest, there hasn't been consistency. And I think this is a mental thing. And getting back to the mental side of the game, I'm a big proponent on visualization and goal setting and breathing and trying to slow the game down. A lot harder to do in the pitch clock era for a pitcher. A lot harder to do for a hitter in the pitch clock era. When all of a sudden that thing is ticking and things start to go south, and you have nowhere to go, nowhere to slow it down. You can't walk off the back of the mound and rub up the baseball or hit the rosin bag or tie your shoe 15 times and slow things down. You can't have your infielders come in 5 times to slow things down for you. You have to find a way mentally to slow the game down and to go pitch by pitch, batter by batter, inning by inning, and just try to win one pitch. And if you have that mentality and you have the breathing and you've done the homework with the visualization, then you have ways as a player to slow things down. I think it's more of a challenge in the modern game today because of the pitch clock. So if we've seen Ryan Walker, and I turned to my buddy Jerry today and I said, he gave up a two-run lead in St. Louis against these guys. So when you do that as a player, you have these demons in your head. And you start to think about the last time I faced these guys, this happened. And if any sort of negative, and I don't know what was going through Ryan Walker's head, I'm just basing it on my own experience. And if any of those negative thoughts creep into your mind, then that's an advantage to the guys at the plate. And the guys in the Cardinals dugout tonight were probably saying, hey, we got this guy before, let's go. And so they have momentum. They have confidence. And as soon as I think it was Scott got the base hit to lead off the ninth, then things start to speed up a little bit, right? Here comes the hamster wheel in your head spinning really fast. And, okay, the tying runs on. He's got 33 stolen bases. I got speed on the bases. Here comes the top of the order. I blew a 2-run lead to these guys, and it can get away from you quick. So – and I also think, and I know this is a long answer, but I'm trying to kill time right now, the bottom half of the order has to be addressed. And I think lately 7, 8, 9 have been pretty good, where you had Bailey, Koss, and Gilbert in there tonight, and they're giving you solid at-bats. But for a big chunk of the season, 7, 8, and 9 were automatic outs. And they weren't just automatic outs in the sense that, you know, they're going 3-2 and falling off 4 pitches. There were a lot of 3-pitch Cias in there. And there was a lot that makes it easier for the opponent to cut through your lineup 2 or 3 times when you have some deficiencies at the bottom of the order. And I'm not saying go out and get 3 guys that hit 320, if anybody hits 320 anymore. Get guys that hit 320, but guys that are versatile, that can hit and run, hit behind the runner, bunt guys over, take a walk, even have a 9 or a 10 pitch out where you're making the pitcher fire some bullets. So those couple of things, but I think your core in the foundational year that the Giants have laid this year and the direction they're heading with more of an emphasis on baseball and playing baseball the right way and playing the game the right way. Like I thought getting to the playoffs this year would have just been a bonus. And we all kind of got caught up early. Then we're like, oh my goodness. And then we got caught up late and now we're like, oh my goodness again. So the season has been tough as a fan. Like I acknowledge every Giants fan out there that's been through it this year. Because there's a lot of them like myself that live and die with every single game. And it's been a roller coaster for you, so I get it.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, early in the season, they were certainly playing better than I think their record would indicate. I got another question for you, if it's all right.
Yeah, go ahead. We only got a couple callers, so yeah, have at it.
Okay, right on. So I was thinking about what you said about the closer, and I think that's a really good point. And it seems like Rodriguez is going to be out for all of next year with Tommy John. I mean, maybe there's a chance he comes back if we make the postseason, but I agree. I think a closer is a pretty important piece that they're missing. And I agree with what you say about Walker. And I also think another important piece of that is his mechanics often, to me, look inconsistent. I think he, like you said, he starts to rush. He kind of gets ahead of himself, and especially from the stretch, his mechanics I've seen really start to break down. I mean, that happened with the Diamondbacks series last week, when he, blew the game. I think it started to happen tonight. But how would you feel about, trading some of the offensive pieces we have, say like a Flores or a Schmidt or even a Koss for a closer? Because as I see it right now, if Dominic Smith can get healthy, he should either be playing first base or DHing, because there's no way Rafi Devers isn't going to be in the lineup, of course. And down the stretch, Wilmer Flores wasn't playing games, where right-handers were starting anyways. So I'm curious about that. If we were to trade a Flores or a Schmidt or a Koss or some combination of those guys, have Smith stay on the team, and see if we could get some closer or some really strong middle reliever to help shore up the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just sign a free agent reliever, and you go out on the market and you get a guy that's had a decent year that you don't have to go pay through the nose for, to get the guy that's just consistent and solid. And when you're talking about Koss and Schmidt, I think you have to do an autopsy on the season and just dissect this thing from rookie ball all the way to the big leagues on what adjustments you could make it as an organization. Just tinker a little bit. I don't think there's any major changes that you make, but just surround yourself with winning players, championship type players that know how to beat you, whether it's on the mound or whether it's in the batter's box or whether it's speed on the bases or whether it's just playing solid defense all season long, and you just tighten it up. And I don't think it has to be big names. I think you already got the big names to build around. And, and then maybe there's an emphasis on two-strike approach. Here's the thing. Ever since Dom Smith pulled his hamstring against the Dodgers that night, they haven't won. Dom Smith was the biggest breath of fresh air this whole season for the San Francisco Giants with his Gold Glove defense, with his timely hitting, with his two-strike approach where he spread out and choked up and just used his hands and put the ball in play consistently and flip a little flare out into left field. Or if you make a mistake, he'll shoot you in the gap. But when he was playing, the Giants won. And as soon as he got hurt, the Giants haven't won. So while we think about superstars all the time and frontline guys, sometimes it's the Marco Scuderos and the Cody Rosses and the Dom Smiths and the surrounding pieces to the puzzle that are winning baseball players. I didn't know Dom Smith was this good. And I think he should win the Willie Mack Award. I think he was the sneaky best player on the team for a long time, and they just haven't been the same since he's been out of the lineup. Oh, he's done? Thanks, Danny. I was waiting for another comment because I was trying to milk that call for as long as I could. Let's go to Jacob in Irvine. Jacob, you're on The Sports Leader talking to Frank Paul Santangelo. How you doing?
Hey, FP. I've been better. I guess that this is finally calling it as far as playoff chances go. I mean, it looked pretty bleak since last week, perhaps. But yeah, I guess turning the page, and there's a lot of postmortem to be done going into next year. I know you were saying maybe major changes aren't needed, and on the field, I'd agree. But I think you called out some of the things, approach at the plate that could be fixed, and I think that there's maybe some room for some changes as far as managers and coaches go. I guess what's your thoughts and your what you've been hearing regarding where that stands as far as managers. I think Melvin has not been perfect this year, and it seems that Posey still trusts him, but maybe this poor stretch has changed things a little bit.
Yeah, I'll never be the guy that comes on the radio and says somebody should be fired. That'll never happen as long as I do this, because I've been fired before, and I think anybody listening has been let go from a job before. You just don't want to ever have blood on your hands. So my opinion on that really doesn't matter, because I'm not making that decision. I love Bob Melvin. I love hanging around him. I love talking baseball with him. But I will say this, and this is just a general term. If I ever was a president of baseball operations and I was running a major organization, one of the most storied franchises in Major League history, which I would never do because I'm just a dork talking to you guys on the radio at night. But just say, let's just role play for a second. I would want my guys in there, whoever my guys were. Like the people that I've won with, the people that I trust most, the people that I have the most faith in, the people that I know are winners, the people who know that the style of baseball that I liked and the style of baseball that I want my team to portray on a nightly basis. And, I have my own opinions about like how the game should be played, and maybe it's a little antiquated and archaic, but I still think a team like the Milwaukee Brewers that puts the ball in play and doesn't strike out and has team speed and plays defense and buys in to whatever their philosophy is. And it's hard at this level to get 26 guys or 40 guys, even if you can use the whole roster, to buy in. But when you're talking about a winning culture and trying to develop a winning culture, there has to be non-negotiables, because it's super challenging to develop that culture. And what are the non-negotiables? Well, that's for everybody to decide. But there's certain things that if you don't do, you don't play. If there's certain things you consistently don't do, you don't play here. And so whether it's you're just really strict, and if you don't run a ball out, you're sitting next to me, or you don't hit the cutoff man, you're sitting next to me the next day, or you don't keep the double play in order, or whatever, you don't cover first on a ground ball to first and you're a pitcher. Like certain non-negotiables. Like this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to play every night, and if you don't do it, It's easier said than done because there's a lot of egos involved. You get to the highest level, there's if you bench Rafi Devers because he doesn't run the ball out to first, then are you really making the team better even though you're sending a message? So this is easy to say on the radio, but it's really hard to implement. And you have to have the right guys and get support from ownership all the way down to the dugout that this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to go about it this way. And if we want a winning culture, this is how we're going to do it. And that's interpretive, right? Like whatever you think is a winning culture and whatever you think it takes to develop a winning culture. But for me, it's all about non-negotiables. It can't be one way for one guy, another way for another guy, and this is okay, but that's not okay, and this is okay sometimes, but now it's really not okay. Like you have to set your feet in stone and say, this is how we do it. This is, for an example, Giants baseball, and this is what we're going to do. And if you don't do it this way, you're either going to the minor leagues, we're releasing you, or you're sitting on the bench until the message is clear. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the perspective. I think, there's been several examples that we don't need to list out of places in the season where they haven't had much attention to detail, or there's some issues going on, errant throws from an outfielder perhaps, or a missed play in the infield. And I guess buy-in could certainly be a huge part of it. And there were flashes of it this year. There were some hot streaks that felt really, really good. And so I guess it's maybe capturing what they can take from those moments and see if there's a way to make that more consistent and a more repeatable standard across a greater stretch of the season.
You don't have to be good you don't have to be great every single night. You just have to be good. And you have to play the game the right way consistently on a nightly basis. And you'll look up in October and you'll be either playing or you have won a lot more games than you lost. And when you look at who's going to the playoffs right now in the National League, man, if you're 5 or 6 games over 500, you're cruising into the playoffs. And I don't think that's a lot to ask from, such a storied franchise that has such great history with 3 trophies when you walk into the locker room and you look to the right. I really don't. So they have to win out to get to 500. And there was a time when I thought they would be 10 games over 500. I picked them to win 94 games this year when I saw what they were doing in spring training. That's how excited I was. So I was way off that mark, turns out. So, yeah, I think there'll be adjustments made. That's not really for me to say. But I also think the president of baseball operations has done a real nice job of just sitting back, taking notes, soaking it all in, and then figuring out what adjustments he has to make to have that winning culture. Not just for next year. A winning culture is something that you have if you have a strong minor league system with a strong developmental system where you have great coaches and great players and you're teaching guys how to win at the lowest level, just like the San Jose Giants just won the California League. It's not just about how hard you throw or your exit velocity. It's about being a complete baseball player. And part of being a complete baseball player, if you want to win at the highest level, is winning at the lower levels to learn what that feels like and how great that feels. So when I saw those kids in San Jose the other night pouring champagne and dancing in the locker room, man, it doesn't matter if it's rookie ball, A ball, double A, triple A, or the big leagues. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that feeling as a player. And I was lucky enough to win a few championships in the minor leagues. Never did it in the big leagues. But I think you have to emphasize winning and being a winning player and knowing what it takes to be a winning player. First and second, nobody out. You get the bunt down. That's your job. Runner on third, less than 2. We shorten up our swing with 2 strikes. We put the ball in play. That's your job. We make the routine play every single time. We don't care about the web gems like they used to be on SportsCenter. We want you to make the routine play every time. Hit the cutoff man every single time. You don't have to airmail it to try to throw somebody out. Just play good, fundamentally sound baseball every single day. And like I said before, have the non-negotiables. Thanks for the call, dude. Really good stuff. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yep. Thanks for taking my call.
Where are we at, Danny? Let's take a quick break. Let me catch my breath, and we'll have one more segment on the other side. So if you're on hold right now, stay right there. If you want to chime in, 808 KNBR is the number. FP Santangelo in the broadcast booth. Danny Dunn pressing all the right buttons in Daly City. We'll have your calls next on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sportsphone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
FP Santangelo, the broadcast booth. We're going to have one last segment. If you're on hold, stay right there. Logan Webb, after the game tonight, I thought had some really powerful quotes. You know Logan, he's not afraid to say what he's thinking. He never holds back, and I think that's what makes him so beautiful, besides being such a gamer on the mound and being such a great pitcher for the Giants. But Danny's got him teed up, so I want you to hear what Logan Webb had to say after the game tonight.
Every year's different. I think this year's probably the most frustrating. I definitely, no offense to the teams we've had before, but this is the most talented team I've been on. And yeah, I think there was a lot of expectations, and yeah, it sucks. You know, you trade for. Looking back at that, what was it, May or June, when we win that first game in LA to go up, and it's June, right? There's so much baseball. I mean, you see what happens happening all around baseball right now. It's a crazy sport, but you know, we trade for a guy like Devers, and we were excited. It's not that. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, you know, when things go wrong. It unfortunately just seems like we've let it stay wrong for a long time, and that's not a very good recipe for success. And unfortunately, it seems like this is 4 straight years where it's been the exact same thing. So yeah, it just sucks.
Yeah, so some heartfelt quotes from Logan Webb, one of the heartbeats of this team for a long time. And I've been around Webby for a while, and the guy's old school, man. He's all about winning. He doesn't care about his numbers. He doesn't care about anything. He cares about winning. And he knows, like, if you talk to him about baseball, he's not just a pitcher that goes out every 5th day and pitches. The guy knows the game inside and out. I think, and I've said this on air before, that when it's all said and done, he'd be a great big league manager. And usually I'm not a big fan of pitchers being managers, but when the guy knows the game and what it takes to win in the style of baseball you need to play, kind of some of the things I've touched on tonight. We've had some deep conversations this year about that. And he opens up big time to the media, to people he trusts. I think he'd be a good big league manager someday. But that's way down the road. He goes on to say, and I want to read this to you because I think it says a lot. He said, if there's one thing about Buster Posey is I don't think he's okay with losing. I don't think he's okay with even being 500. He wants to win. I'm not going to play his job because that's not my job, but I don't think he's okay with this. And I would echo those sentiments 100%. That's from Justice De Los Santos on Twitter right now. He is a Giants beat reporter for the Mercury News. So that was his quote on Twitter. And Alex Pavlovic from NBC Sports Bay Area has some good quotes from Logan Webb, too, if you want to check that out. So, you know, I think a somber clubhouse tonight, right? When you're eliminated from the playoffs and you all thought, I mean, I've been around this club. I've seen him on the plains after big wins. I've seen him in the clubhouse, you know, having fun playing baseball when they were on that little streak and the Mets were losing and they were winning and they were one game back from the wild card. You're thinking this is going to happen. And Ryan Walker had that hiccup in St. Louis when they had the 2-0 lead. And I think that was kind of when you started to go like, damn, we had all the momentum. All the momentum. And then you have that 2-0 lead. And it was 3-2 before you could blink an eye. It was base hit, walk, hit batter, base hit, walk off, 3-2. And things were going in the right direction. Now, I'm not blaming Ryan Walker for that. But when you have that momentum, it's so precious late in the season. Because you think you have it. You think you have what it takes. You think we're going to do this. And then some weird stuff starts to happen. You're like, ooh, maybe we're not going to do this. Where are we at, Danny? Gary? Gary from Newberry Park. Gary, where's Newberry Park? Should I know that?
About 20 miles outside of L.A.
Oh, okay. So, no, I shouldn't know that. So, thanks for calling. What do you got tonight?
I just want to disagree with you earlier. You said we had a good core of players. You mentioned Chapman, Adames, and Devers. And I disagree with that. These guys strike out too much. One guy's hitting 233. The other guy's hitting 226. The other guy 228. Devers has struck out 185 times this year. Adames 172. You say you like to see a team that puts the ball in play. These guys don't do it. When we had Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent and J.T. Snow and Ellis Burks in the lineup, that was a good core of players. Those guys hit 280 and above, and they didn't strike out 180 times a year. Where am I going wrong?
Yeah, what do you think if maybe I'm okay with Devers striking out that much because he can still run into one with 2 strikes and do damage. But what if, like, maybe Adames had a 2-strike approach? I thought his swing tonight to right center field, like, that's where he needs to live. And if you make a mistake and he pulls you out of the yard, great. But he's on the verge of hitting 30 home runs. So if Adames hit 250, you'd be happier. So if his average was 20 points higher, and if Chapman's average was 20 points higher and he hit 250, you'd be happy. So I'm not sure where you're getting. I think these guys go about it the right way on a daily basis. They post every single day. They play hurt. They play banged up. When you get to this point in the season, everybody's got something going on. Chapman's got the scabs on his hands. He's been hurt a couple of times this year. So, I mean, who am I? Because these guys are superstar players, and I was the last guy on the bench mixing Gatorade most of the games. Like, I'm not telling those guys what to do because they're elite players and their paychecks and their contracts and their history in the back of their baseball card all says that. But, maybe once in a while, a two-strike approach where, you put the ball in play a little bit more and you see those averages climb because you have a 0 chance of scoring a run when you strike out. But if you put the ball in play, you just never know.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I still think that these guys are kind of flawed when you compare them to guys we've had in the past. The other guys that don't strike out.
It's not the past anymore. I think all of us Giants fans have to turn the page. Like, it's not J.T. Snow and Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent and Ellis Burks. And it's not even Buster Posey and Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain. As much as we love all those guys, I did a baseball camp with Sergio Romo today, one of the most fierce competitors ever to put on this uniform. A guy that I would take on my team any single day because he did it with smoke and mirrors, and it was all about his attitude. And when he went on the mound, he was going to beat you. He's going to find a way to strike you out. He's going to find a way to win. So, we can't live in the past. We have these guys right now, and these guys are going to be here for a long time. And I will disagree with you and push back that I think they go about it the right way. Are there numbers where they would want them to be? Well, I got to give Willie Adames credit because he started out terribly. And he was trying too hard and swinging at everything, and he dug such a deep hole for him. But he had the guts, the confidence, and the work ethic and the ability to stick with it and post every single day. And in essence, turn his season around. He got 2 hits tonight. He's on the verge of hitting 30 home runs. Willie Adames is never going to hit 330 for you. How many 300 hitters are there in baseball right now? Maybe one, Trey Turner? So, to me, the averages aren't as important as they used to be. So I'm going to push back on that, and I would say that this is a good core to build around.
Okay, if the averages aren't important as they used to be, what takes the place of the averages?
Driving in runs and hitting home runs and getting on base, and the most important stat in all of baseball, scoring runs. That's the most important stat is crossing home plate and high-fiving your teammates.
Okay, thanks for taking my call.
All right, take care. Let's go to from L.A. Let's go to Lex. Lex was at the game. What's going on?
Hey, Steve.
Lex, what are we doing tonight? Where are we at? Are you driving home? You home?
Well, I'm home.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I figured this might be the last time I talk to you this season.
Well, you call me tomorrow. I think I'm doing it tomorrow. I don't know. I'm kind of under the weather. We'll see if I make it.
Feels like the end.
Well, there's only 4 games left, so, I mean, it's not like there's 3 weeks left in the season.
But anyways, great job this year. Hope to see you again, hear you again next year. Yeah, I was at the game. So, but I left early, and I was shocked that we lost.
Lex, why did we leave early?
It's a school night.
Okay.
I know it's bad.
I'm not going to get on you. Fans are always right. I'll never criticize. But you never. What if it was like a Giants classic and they came back and walked it off of the 9th and you heard everybody cheering?
We were 5 runs ahead when I left.
So it's probably your fault then because you thought the game was over and you left and it was all your fault, Lex.
I will say I had pretty good seats tonight, and I'd never seen Devers hit in person. Yeah, and his swing is crazy. Like, the power behind that swing is really noticeable. He also swung on some goofy pitches.
Well, he got a hit on a goofy pitch to left field.
Yeah, he also got hit by his own ball, like running into it. But anyways, I know you guys were just talking about hitting and batting averages and stuff, and like, I know that's how you win a game, but the kind of baseball fan I am is like, I've I've been a Giants fan throughout like Brandon Crawford times, and like I just love defense. I love great defense. I love like great base running, and that's what I was missing the most this year, personally.
Lex, you're speaking my love language because base running gets me more excited than. And when I'm doing a game and I
So
see
you're
great
always gonna
Patrick
get-
Bailey tonight, you know, when you're on third and you're running home, you can create your own baseline. And he was like 5 feet inside on the grass, so there you create your own baseline. If you go out of the baseline to avoid a tag, then you're out. But when you're just going into a glove or running home, that was so smart. So little plays like that, or a guy putting his head down, going first to third and taking a chance, an educated guess. Base running to me is about being fearless and about knowing when to push the envelope, when to take the chance, and when not to take the chance, and being intelligent on the bases, but also super aggressive when the time calls for it. And you just don't see on a nightly basis good base running for most teams in the big leagues right now, and it gets me the most excited, and it also gets me the most excited on the other end when I see bad base running. It frustrates me, and it comes out on the air sometimes. I have to be careful.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, I'll forgive, a guy not getting a hit in a night, but like to see like silly base running errors or just bad defensive mental mistakes is the heartbreaker for me this year.
Same,
in
and we
particular.
saw a lot of them, and that's got to change. Lex,
Too many. It would have been a totally different season without that stuff. Like
Y-
same batting averages, but better defense, better base running, totally different season.
it would have, and tonight would have been a different outcome if you didn't leave. I'm just
Sorry.
kidding. I have to. We can, no Dodger fans here. We don't leave early as Giants fans, but I understand it's a school night, so I get it. Thanks for coming, though. What a great day in the Bay as far as the weather goes, right? Unbelievable. This ballpark, Lex, if it was like this every night, it would probably go Coors Field, Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, and Oracle Park if the weather was 80 degrees or above, because this place is a launching pad when it's warm.
Right.
For 5 games, for 5 of the 81 home games every year, it's a launching pad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lex, thanks for the call. Let's go to Tom in the East Bay. Tom, wind up the show for me, and Danny's going to play lights. What do you got going?
All right, I got 3 things for you. One's kind of funny scenario for the future, but it's about ABS. So my thinking for next year is, and I think this might be in Buster's mindset, is I would focus on the two best starting pitchers you can get in free agency. I think we saw it this year. Relief pitching closers, they seem to be really available with the trade deadline. So if you get your starting act together, and then we'll have the opposite impact that we had this year when we lost all of our young guys due to attrition. And I don't know if Verlander comes back, but you got Webby and you got Ray and maybe you got Verlander and a couple of other studs, and then you fill it in with these young up-and-comers, then you got a powerful rotation. I think that's how you get to 88, 89, 90 wins. I think you can find a closer in July. So that's my take on
No,
that.
that makes sense. That's a good call, dude. Way to end the show and a good call. I always think you can find relievers. I really do. Whether it's in the offseason, whether it's a trade deadline, or you can develop one of your young arms in the minor leagues to be like a Mason Miller type. Wasn't Mason Miller a starter before they made him a reliever? And now he's a lights-out reliever for the Padres. Thanks for all the calls tonight. I'll be back tomorrow after the game. I was going to talk some Niners football tonight, but it just never got to that, and I'm tired. I've been going since 8 o'clock this morning, so I'm going to scooter home. Thanks for all the calls. Danny, nice job at home base, at HQ, as they say. And Danny, I think I'm with Raph tomorrow night. But thanks, Danny. It's always nice hearing your voice. You did a good job with the calls and relay them to me. Giants lose 9-8 tonight, and they are eliminated from the playoffs. They need to win out to get to 500. So we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody. Like I say on the way out every single time, swing hard in case you hit it on these.